Hello, I'm Rick Michot. I'm going to do a little tune this afternoon called Les Bars de la Prison. Ma chère vieille maman, je suis là devant la porte de la prison avec les larmes et ses mains sur sa tête. En disant, cher garçon, moi je connais, t'es condamné, ouais, t'es condamné pour la balance de tes jours. Ma chère vieille maman, braille pas pour ton enfant, sauver son âme de les flammes de l'enfer. De les flammes de l'enfer, de les flammes de l'enfer. Sauver son âme de les flammes de l'enfer. Ma chère vieille maman, moi je suis là dans la prison avec les larmes dans mes yeux et mes mains sur la tête. Oh maman, brave pour ton enfant, sauver son âme de les flammes de l'enfer. Il dit oh, 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 de les flammes de l'enfer. one point in my life, when I was in my late 20s, I finally made a decision that I wanted to go to law school and practice law. And I started making a little bit of money during that time because I wanted to save up as much as I could to where I didn't have too bad of a financial hit for my 3 years out of much income earning when I was in law school. So I ended up doing oil and gas leasing, which was good at the time. But what they did was send me up to North Dakota, where everybody else on the crew was bored to death because there was nothing to do. But I was like, I was in heaven because there was a bunch of horses and cattle around, and I was helping the guys work cattle and everything. And I decided to put off law school and just I thought I was going to end up buying a ranch. So I ended up moving to Idaho and actually to Oregon on the Hells Canyon, the Snake River, a ranch of 2,000 head of cattle and 140,000 acres. It was a lot of work. It was a very small crew, just me and a few other people. Anyway, part of the deal for this ranch, it was a active cowboy ranch. You're on horseback every day, herding cattle, doing all of that stuff. So you're all day in the saddle every day. And in the fall, part of the ranch was a bunch of the different ranchers that had a co-op. They would put 200 head of cattle, maybe 10 different ranchers in this area, and just turn them loose all summer, and nobody would watch them or anything during the summer. And yet in the fall, you had to come gather them up, all the cattle in the woods and the mountains and everything, and put them in this pasture. And then you would cut your cattle out for your ranch, looking at the brand, and all that. So that was the deal. And it was for a week over there. And you had to get to the camp, you had to pack with a horse, and then a pack horse with a pack saddle and your stuff for overnight and everything. And then you had to bring your dog. So we get to this camp that hasn't been used since the year before. And there's 10 different cowboys there. There's a cook. And there's there's 10 horses and 10 dogs. So the cowboys didn't know each other, the horses didn't know each other, and neither did the dogs. So the dogs would fight and the horses would kick each other. And we didn't fight. We were, I guess, enough to get along. But it was kind of a hardship type thing, but it wasn't that bad. We slept in an attic with a bunch of guys snoring, and they'd clear the area of some rats with their little pistols and stuff. And we were all out there herding cattle all day long. And I'm thinking about my future sort of while I'm out there. They had a guy, so I was about 28, 29, and there was a guy that was really old amongst the group, and he was like 50. I said, God, this guy's old. What's he? So I started talking to him about what he was going to be doing when we finished that week, because the only thing he owned was his saddle and his clothes that he was wearing. And so he didn't even know where he was going to be working at the end of that week. He didn't have a horse. He didn't know where he was going to be staying. And I'm thinking, a cowboy, you could end up just like him, So I'm thinking about that. And he tells me at supper one day, he goes, well, let me ask you something. Where are you going to be spending the winter? And so my plan was to spend the winter at this place called Cow Creek. But he had done it. He had been there before, and he called it the Litch Place. Very isolated, 2.5 hour drive by 4-wheel drive vehicle from a town of 300 people. So very isolated. If you were out there, you would only see people maybe once a week. You could sprain an ankle and die because you'd have no way if your horse bucked you off and you sprained your ankle, you'd have no way to get back to your cow camp, and you couldn't call anybody. No cell phones or anything. And he said, let me tell you something about that Litch Place. He says, it's in the middle of the bottom of that canyon. He says, that sun's going to go, the shadows start hitting your cabin about 2 in the afternoon. He said, why, the sun won't hit it again the next morning until about 10 a.m. Makes some kind of long evenings. Makes a fella kind of lonesome for some companionship. And I thought about that too. That was kind of scary, that thought of spending the winter like that. So whenever that experience was over, that's when I thought about it some more. I said, I think I'm going to go up to Spokane, Washington, one of the law schools that accepted me, and see if they can let me in early. But I talked to the dean. He says, no, you'll never catch up, even though it's only been 30 days since law school started. It's too intense. You can't catch up. Just move up here, get settled, get yourself a job and stuff. And so that's what I did. I wanted to basically make this story about the end of my cowboying and ranching career and the beginning of the journey towards lawyer and then eventually becoming judge. So I know it's a short period of time that we have, but I just wanted to throw that story in there because it's sort of an unusual way to start law school, I think. Cote Gelée was what Broussard was named a long, long time ago, because when the first settlers came here, they found this area with all these hills, and they were frozen because of the frost, and they said, oh yeah, frozen hills, and so that was the original name for Broussard. And since I was raised around there and I actually live there now, I decided to just name this song that, which has nothing to do with the words of it, but it's just what I call the song, Two-Step the Cote Gelée. Oh bébé, quand je découvris, t'as eu une habitude, traînailler tous les soirs avec ton chat vieux maigre. Quand j'ai travaillé dans mes clos, que là j'ai vu un petit morceau, ta belle robe à parasol sur branche de Cherokee. Au commencement, quand j'ai découvert, t'as eu une habitude de traînailler tous les soirs, pas avec ton cher vieux nègre. J'ai voir dans ma cour, quand j'ai découvert et coupé des Cherokees, et notre vague dans le mollet, et les lampes tombent dans le mollet après tirer mes vaches.